Hello everybody and welcome to another video. If you see the title, you know that we are mood reading this week. I just finished filming my 24-hour straight readathon, which you can readathon, I don't think I called it that once. You can go watch that. That's a video I posted for you guys last week. It really made me excited just to keep reading. So it's August 1st as I'm filming this and I am looking at my August TBR. There's also one more book coming in the mail and a book on my Kindle. And I also have here 4 library books that didn't get put on my August TBR, but I found while I was browsing. So I have some options and I'm excited just to read. It is rainy today, so I think it's gonna get hot the rest of the week, but today kind of feels like a cozy day, so I wouldn't mind starting with something, I don't know, that feels not so summery. And to me, that maybe is another fantasy. I had a lot of fun with the fantasy book that I read on last week's video, 2 days ago for me. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna do it and go into something that I have very high expectations for, and that is Blood Over Brighthaven. I have heard endless things about this book. I know more about it than I would like to going into a book, but that just makes me want to read it more. I think it is very feminist fantasy where somebody is given an opportunity, a woman is given an opportunity to do something, but people are kind of cutting her down because she's a woman, and they give her an assistant who's a janitor as a joke or to undermine her a little bit, and then she uses that to her advantage and they work really well together. I have not seen one bad review of this book from the endless amount of people that I have seen read it or, you know, heard about it from, and that sets it at a high bar for me. So I'm gonna start with Blood Over Brighthaven. It is Saturday today. It's like late already, 3 o'clock. I had a whole day and I still would like to do some laundry, bake some banana bread, fill out my reading journal for last month, start it for this month. So I have some stuff that I'd like to do before I get to reading, but I will definitely be starting this today. I'm excited. And actually my TBR video in which this book was chosen, most of the comments are about this book. So I'm excited to read it. I think it's time. Wish me luck. I really, really hope I like it and that I don't disappoint anybody by not liking it, because that would make me really sad. Though I do love that books are subjective. That is one of my favorite things. So also, like, don't hold it against me if it's not my favorite. But I have high hopes. So let's get into it. I also have a cute dog, if you're wondering. He's hanging out with me in here. Hey, you're so cute. Baby boy. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's get into it. I am just over 50 pages through Blood Over Brighthaven. I am slightly confused by this book. Not by the way it's set up or anything, but by the magic system itself. It is a bit confusing. It starts with a prologue, or chapter one, which reads like a prologue, of a man who is one of 40 of this people who is escaping a blight in, I guess, like a snow covered area. It's very Game of Thrones North of the Wall-esque situation, and he's escaping with his people. And then we move on to, what is her name? Siona's point of view, and she is, as I said, one of the only women who's going to take this test. I guess once every decade they let a woman take the test, and then they grill her completely, way more than the males, and hope that she'll fail so that she doesn't get through, but she got through. And that is the point that I'm at. But the magic system itself is a bit confusing, so you watch her get tested along with a couple of other people and the things that they have to do to get tested. There are like 2 versions of this magic, and one of them brings it forth and one of them uses the magic, and everybody has a different specialty, just like a major in university, except for it's their magic. And mapping is one of hers, and I forget what the other one is. So I'm a bit confused, but I'm gonna keep reading now and hope that I get less confused as I go on. That is the problem with always starting a new book, especially a new fantasy book, obviously, is you have to get used to the magic system. I'm not there yet, but I'm hoping that as I keep reading, I will subconsciously recall things that I read that I didn't understand at the moment. And this is the place where the guy at the beginning escaped to. It seems like an under the dome situation, where once you get through the barrier, you are safe from this blight that is literally smiting people. So they're not trying to solve the problem of the blight though. They're trying to increase the barriers so that they can account for higher population. And it seems like women and foreigners so far are treated like scum. Awful. So it's paralleling our world a little bit, and it's made me a little bit depressed. So I hope that good things happen and this book just doesn't make me angry with seeing the things that are happening in this world and in our world at the same time. I will let you know updates when I have them, but I am enjoying the writing, but so far I'm a little confused, and I think I find Siona maybe a little bit annoying and overbearing. But we'll see if that continues. I think I need to see her communicate with other people other than her cousin and her mentor. Those are the only two people we've really seen her communicate with. And it was a very stressful day for her. So I'm hoping that also has something to do with how annoying I found her. I really hope so. But also, if you're the only woman making it in a world of men, you kind of have to be that way. So I get it. I am now just about to start chapter 8. I am 130 pages in and I have so many more thoughts since my last update. I am now loving this book. I can't get enough of it. I am hoping to be asleep in the next hour, but we will see how long I decide to keep reading for because things are evolving and things are happening. Let me just arrange my thoughts and speak them in the proper order. The basis of the beliefs of magic in this book are rooted in religiosity, which is really interesting if you think about all of the fantasy books that exist and all of these magic systems that they build. And they always tend to talk about the gods in like this larger sense, but it never really goes deeper than that. But this has religious theology attached to it and these beliefs that these people hold so firm to based on what is essentially their Bible. So every chapter starts with a little excerpt from the Leonid, which is verses from like that version of the Bible, which I don't really have anything specific to say about that, but I think that that's really interesting as I'm reading that and realizing I've never actually seen how religious this is, unless it's like a Nordic book or something like that, but this is its own religion created for this book. And then in saying that, our main character, Siona, has this religion. She believes a little bit different than the other magic people, but I think it's because magic people, mages, she, I think, feels differently. There are two kind of branches of this religion, and she feels differently than the other mages' branches, and it's because of how she was raised. So we know that she doesn't really have parents. She has a father who kind of disconnected from her after her mother died. You learn that pretty early on, and she was raised by her aunt, and I think that that has kind of cemented her beliefs to be different than other mages, and also because she's the only high mage woman out of 100 and the first in history, which I don't think I realized. So then it's interesting because these teachings kind of also gauge how people are supposed to treat the Quen, they call them, these foreigners that come through the barrier, like I talked about earlier, which is the guy at the beginning. So Tamil is one of these Quen people, and it's really interesting because everybody treats them like trash, and I think it's based in this religion, but also because that's how they've done it for hundreds of years. Siona doesn't treat him like trash, but definitely less than, and she keeps catching herself being like, oh, this is his job, he's beneath me, without realizing the parallels that that's how people treat her because she's a woman, and she just kind of complains to him about all these things that she has to go through as a woman without realizing that she's talking to someone who's also going through the same things, but worse. She is very much similar to Emily Wilde. If you've read those books, the characterization is very similar in the description of how they talk to people and maybe don't place that much importance in other people unless they can help them with their own goals. And also her goals are interesting because she definitely does things in a vengeance kind of way and to prove a point that she is able to do these things even as a woman. And so I am proud of her for that because she is achieving her goals, but I'm a little bit worried about what happens once she reaches them and still maybe feels this lack of confidence. It's not a lack of confidence. This need to belong, I think that still is there now and will always be there. So I'm curious what's going to happen and if we're going to see that part of it, because this reads as someone who is reaching goals for the wrong reason and has these milestones in place, but then what happens when you achieve these things? I don't know. The men in this book are so emotional, as usual. Can't stand a woman doing better than them. Tamil is kind of the only one who's like, it's not overconfident if it's true. So if you can practice what you preach, then you're allowed to be as confident as you have been, which their dynamic is so interesting to me. I think there is this little undercurrent of romance. It's definitely not a romance book in any capacity, but there is an attraction, I guess, at this point. I am way more understanding the magic now. It's still really odd and takes a lot of brain power for me to understand the magic system, but because she's teaching Tamil as her new assistant to learn the basics of this magic, we are also learning it with him, and I always appreciate that in a book when it does it that way. It just feels more natural, and she kind of goes on tangents and makes metaphors so that he'll understand them, which in turn helps us as readers understand. I think it's going to be a powerful book, but I think it's going to make me way more angry before I am happy at the end. Hopefully happy at the end. Oh no. So I just got about halfway through my book and I had to stare into space for a minute. It's making me really sad and emotional.
You want to put the book in the freezer?
Okay. It's one of those things where I often love to read for escape, and this is not letting me escape because it's so akin to the real world of people just stepping on other people's toes, not really caring about people who are born in different circumstances, just in a very self-absorbed way. And yeah, the racism and the sexism, especially the racism, is just at its peak right now. And I emotionally am drained reading this, but also it's really important to read it. And also it is a fantasy book. Obviously the author wanted to pull parallels, but also I can remind myself that this is a work of fiction. I don't want to bury my head in the sand, but oh my goodness, it's making me very emotional. Every time I finish a chapter, I just kind of stare into space a little bit and try to collect my thoughts and my feelings. It's just like some Christopher Columbus ass shit going on right now. Siona is getting worse before she gets better, which maybe I should have expected given the backstory that we received, this belief she has inside of her that her religion is more important than anything else, and it is the true way, and it's getting a little bit culty. So I'm hoping that we're leading to a bit of a deconstruction of that religion, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I do really like their dynamic. It is such a good dynamic. It ebbs and flows, and it improves constantly. You can tell that they are close without her having to narrate that they're close, just by the way that they slowly start acting more like friends with one another. They're opposites in their lifestyle and their beliefs and in this community that they live in, but they are, I think, very similar mentally. I'm just curious how they're going to recover from this big event that has just happened. I'm so surprised I'm only halfway because this is reading like a third act conflict. Something I will say that I really appreciate about this book is that it doesn't treat the reader like they're stupid. I don't feel like it's sugarcoating anything or spoon feeding it to me. It is just giving me the facts about the magic system and the characters and letting me do with that what I will and letting my brain make connections. And I think that way, when big moments happen, they are more shocking because it took me time to understand it and to get there, rather than being like, well, yeah, you foreshadowed that forever. Nothing is really that foreshadowed, but it all makes sense, which I think is the perfect little niche to be in. I want to say so much more and I just can't because it's such the crux of the story. I don't even know what my theories are right now, but they're probably all wrong. I'm just gonna let it happen as it happens though, and not theorize too much. I hope I gathered my thoughts enough for at least half of that to make sense. I finished Blood Over Brighthaven last night. I actually don't have a ton of thoughts to add from my last update, mostly because everything kind of wraps up in a very important way as you're reading, so there's not much to add that I think I can talk about without giving spoilers, to be honest with you. I did fold over a ton of pages, which is then when I go through it and highlight things and tab things, because it became even more emotional, if that's possible. It is, like I said, a very powerful book. I love angry women. Give me every book with an angry woman. I have a lot of thoughts. I do, just not many that I can say. I think I'm not super pleased. I was gonna say with how it wrapped up. I'm happy with how it wrapped up. There were some things before the wrap up that I think I would have liked more closure on, but also I love a book that doesn't give that much closure because you don't get closure in life all the time with everything. So I'm a little bit torn on my thoughts about that. I don't even want to say who, between, or what topics, because I think that it's important to go into this not knowing that. That being said, I did love the actual ending and the direction that the author chose to take this book. Sometimes when I was reading, I got a little bit annoyed that Siona can get a bit emotional, because that is this thing that these men were holding over her. Like, oh yeah, women are so emotional. They get so emotional. And then I realized it's very powerful that she can prove that she is still smart and able and intelligent while feeling her emotions. I think that's actually really important. So I'm glad that I came to that realization at the end, because every time she got teary-eyed, I was like, girl, hold it together. But also, yeah, you're badass and you feel. Those are two very good things. There's definitely specific conflicts that you can draw parallels with. There's this idea that the city that they live in is God-given and they can do anything at all costs to hold this city. You make your own parallels with that statement, but also on a larger scale of human nature and doing everything we can to survive and expand the way that we live to the expense of the world that we live in and the environment. I think that that is also definitely an undertone here. Overtone, if you will. I think it's very evident. It's not just a fiction fantasy book that can pull you out of your world. It does make you think about the life that we live at the same time. That being said, I'm rating it 4 stars, not 5. Just didn't hit the 5-star feeling for me. I'm not surprised about that. I think that the writing is brilliant. I definitely will read everything else by this author. Sword of Kaigon is her other book. I think that's how you say it, Sword of Kaigon. So I'm definitely going to add that. I think it's on my want to read list. I'm just going to put it a little bit higher, maybe my eager to read list on Goodreads, because I definitely have to get to it if this is the writing that I'm in for. I feel very attached to characters when they are written a specific way, and this just didn't have them written that way. I didn't really care about our characters. I thought I was going to cry. I didn't really cry. I think my favorite character at the end was Kara. Is that how you say her name? Kara? And we didn't actually have a lot of her, so I'm kind of surprised that she ended up being my favorite character in this book. So that's just me saying I maybe felt a disconnect from the characters specifically, and I think that's why I didn't give it 5 stars, because everything else about this book, I have no qualms. There's nothing that I would have wanted to be different in the plot or the storyline or anything like that. I think that it was wonderful. But 4 stars is still great. Like, I will still think about this book. I have a lot of feelings about it. I will tell other people to read it. So that's 4 stars. I don't know what to read next. My August TBR pile did get a little bit smaller. I also have my Kindle here because I thought of a vlog that I could do after this, a reading vlog with some specific books that I had on my August TBR. So those have been pulled out of the pile. Nothing is speaking to me. I would like to read. I just don't know what. I don't think I feel like reading on my Kindle right now. Do I want a romance? I think I'm gonna read One Day. So this is a movie and a TV show as well. So if you've seen any of those things, you probably know what this is about. I haven't watched them. I've been waiting to read the book. I did watch the first episode and then I was like, oh, I think I would like this book, so I should wait. And then I found it at the thrift store last month. This is about a couple who I think meet every year on the exact same day. Missed opportunities. True meaning of this one crucial day is revealed. So I'm gonna, I think, read this next. I think I could do a little romance. That feels good after such a heavy book. But I don't think this is gonna be a light romance. I think it's gonna be a heavy romance. So I have no idea. Okay, I've started One Day. I am 50 pages in, just about to start chapter 4, and I am really liking the start of this book. It starts out with Emma and Dexter on the last year of university, so the last day of university. They've just graduated, and Emma has kind of had this from afar crush on Dexter their whole time in university, and he is saying, I can't believe I've never seen this girl before. Like, I have no idea who she is. But now they are spending the night together, and we actually start at 4 a.m. and they've decided to spend the day together, but they seem like they don't actually even really like each other once they get to know each other. They have this unavoidable pull to one another while not really liking the other person, and it keeps switching back between their POVs, which I find really fun. And I am enjoying it, though I did think that we would be getting this day of them together every year, July 15th every year, this one day. So far, we are a few years in. We haven't seen the first year when they met. They, like I said, were together at 4 a.m. and they're like, let's spend the day together, and then the chapter ends. So I think that's where the information is going to come in about what happened on that one day at the end. But so far, we are now a few years later, it's the 90s, and they've actually just been writing letters to each other, and we see them on this day, this one day, but they're not together so far. Not in any of the chapters are they together. He is traveling abroad for the few years after university, and she is working dead-end jobs, and they're writing letters to each other. But I'm enjoying it. I think that the writing is really fun. I think I'm really enjoying Emma. She is artsy fartsy and super fun, a little bit pretentious and thinks she's better than other people because she knows about world news. And then Dexter really just wants to be famous and cool and rich. So I'm hoping that we get more depth to him eventually, and it's maybe a facade. I'm not sure. I'm very curious about the point of this book and what happened that first year, because they didn't sleep together that first night. But if it's just like they spent the day together and then slept together and then went their separate ways and stayed in communication, that's a little bit weird. So I hope it's something bigger than that, but I have no idea. So there's my little 50-page in recap. I am almost halfway through one day, so I'm ready for an update. I am really loving Emma and really not liking Dexter, which I'm happy with and I think is the point of the story. Actually, I haven't met one man in this book that I really like. Maybe Dexter's dad, but we haven't seen enough of him to really know that. There's a guy named Ian who gives me the ick. Emma's new boss is awful. And as much as I don't like Dexter, he is dealing with a lot, but he's not dealing with it well. And he's interesting because he is sometimes self-aware selfish and sometimes just straight up selfish, but he doesn't seem to feel selfish with his relationship with Emma, even though he definitely should, because he definitely takes advantage of her always being there. And now she is becoming less available as she gets older and has a real job and people in her life. It's a really interesting dynamic still. They did go on a beach vacation together over July 15th for one of the chapters in one of the years, and it was perfect because I decided to take my book to the lake, and that's the chapter that I was on. So that was nice. It became a beach read at the right moment. I'm quite amazed that I'm finding it this gripping and this informative for being a year passing. But the author really immediately says this is what's the same in their life, this is what's different in their life, without it being like a narrative. It's more their inner thoughts about where they are in their life and what has changed and what hasn't. I still don't think they're putting a lot of pressure on this date, so I'm very curious why it's substantial to them. If it's maybe just because it's when they became friends and started this relationship, because it doesn't seem to be a hard day for them or a specific anniversary of anything. So I'm really curious when that's going to come out. And obviously I'm not going to say what it is when that realization happens, because I think that's the point of the book. But currently it doesn't feel like an important date. And I'm not sure if I don't like her current boyfriend because she doesn't really like her current boyfriend, or if it's because I'm rooting for her and Dexter, even though she deserves so much better than current Dexter, but she also deserves so much better than her current boyfriend. I think Emma is a catch, and I think she doesn't realize it. And then on top of all of that, I am really enjoying the writing. This author, this man, is very self-aware when he writes other men, which is a breath of fresh air. The way that it's written is so British and cheeky. I'm gonna keep reading. I haven't been super into reading still. I really thought that diving into a couple of good books in a row would change that, but I feel like it's just not that much stimulation right now, and my brain just wants to be fed all of the time. So I am gonna keep reading, but there are a lot of other things that I maybe would rather be doing right now, which is unfortunate. Hi, me again. I have finally finished one day, and I have a surprising amount to say. First of all, I am shocked that I even loved the concept of this book as much as I did. I think it's a very smart way to write a decade plus of time in two people's lives, to do it one day at a time and give us those recaps that I was talking about. I think it's so clever. Just one day each year, and I know so much about their lives. There were also a couple of chapters where I really had the possibility looming in my mind that I was going to get angry at the way that the story was going. And I was angry at people, and I think I was like taking a shower after reading one of those chapters specifically, and I was thinking, you know what? I'm angry because it's real life problems and everybody's acting like humans. Nothing seemed out of character for anybody. That's a lie. Maybe one thing kind of did for Emma, and she made me angry at one point with one of the decisions that she made, but it still was a very human decision. Now I'm gonna start playing. So while things did make me frustrated, people are bound to make mistakes over more than a decade of their life, and so it was very real world problems. That being said, Dexter's a character that is a struggle for me to read sometimes, especially when I think about maybe why Emma was so drawn to him all the time. I really wish I saw more of why she felt that way. The writing itself is incredible. There are so many callbacks by the time you get to the end of this and you realize nothing that has been written is an accident, not one thing. Even if it seems like an aside comment, 5 chapters later it will make sense about why it was brought up, and everything kind of comes full circle. Sorry, she literally has the zoomies right now. And on top of that, there are so many good metaphors in this book that I highlighted a ton of them. There are a lot of highlights. Good gracious, you guys. I'm gonna wait a sec. Okay, I think they're done. The writing in this book is just very stream of consciousness and ranty, and I absolutely loved that about it. It was fun to read. Sometimes it was really annoying writing, and that made it all the more fun because I felt like I could relate to these weird inner dialogue moments and these rants that these characters were going on in their heads and to each other. I loved the writing. I absolutely loved the writing. I am surprised by how much I love the writing, and now I think I should look up other books by David Nicholls because of how much I enjoyed the writing and the way that these characters moved through life and talked to each other. This was kind of a surprise to me. All of that being said, I'm giving this 4 stars. At one point I did have 5-star feelings. I'm struggling in my head to put the pieces together of Dexter. He is a very interesting character to read about, and I was not disinterested in his parts at all. I think I've said this with books before. I just was not rooting for him. I really was. For the sake of other people, not for the sake of him. Sometimes I was like, man, you had it coming. Like, these are the choices you've made and this is the outcome. And then other times I was like, can't you just pick yourself up and get your shit together for the people around you who love you? Ooh, it was really frustrating. And I think that makes for great writing, but it also doesn't make for a 5-star read, in my opinion, to me. So that was 4 stars. And then I started Heartstopper, which is not on my August TBR, but it came in the mail, and guys, I really want to read these books. Since I binged the series, let's not talk about it. I was going to talk about how much the movie maybe didn't hit the mark for me, but I'm going to not talk about it. So I've only read chapter 1, and I can tell you so far, of course I'm comparing it to the TV show, and it is like from beginning to end, exactly where the TV show leaves off and starts off, which is very fun. Even though like 90% of the dialogue is identical, somehow Ben is way worse in this book than he is in the TV show, and that is saying something. I don't know how they do it. He's a monster, which we all know if we've watched the TV show. I'm gonna now speak as though I'm assuming you haven't. This book is mostly about Charlie. He's our main character, and he has a crush on Nick, a boy in his school, and they've just switched forms, which I think is the equivalent of homeroom, and now they have to be in form with multiple grades. It's like a vertical thing now instead, like 5 to 6 people of each grade. And so he was sat beside Nick in form. They hit it off right away and they have this friendship right away. Charlie is an out gay boy and he has a crush on Nick, and he doesn't know where Nick stands in all of it, especially at the part I'm at right now. Boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. Okay, that's exactly what the catchphrase says on the back. So we do know that Nick also catches feelings eventually. Oh, it's such a heartwarming story. It's so cute. But of course there are bullies because it's high school and he's a gay boy. And life isn't fair. But also in this, they've said a few times in this first chapter that Charlie is popular and they can see why he's popular. And the boys on the rugby team are like, oh yeah, I really see why he's popular. We get along with him well. He's good at rugby. In the TV show, I'm going to probably do way too much comparing. Bear with me. In the TV show, Charlie is like, man, those are the rugby boys who bullied me last year when I got outed. In the book, he's like, oh, these rugby boys remind me of the kids who bullied me. So it's not actually the same kids, maybe 1 or 2 of them. Harry, probably. I know it's not on my August TBR. I was going to title this video Mood Reading Through My August TBR. Now I can't call it that because that would be a lie. I just need something different, especially because one day it gets very heavy at the end and I needed something that would make me feel butterflies and happy and a little bit more lighthearted than the last two books that I've read. So I thought, let's do something different. Let's read my first graphic novel. I'm having a lot of fun. It's too much page flipping to have a hot beverage. Very cute, very good. I think I'm just gonna go pick up the next one right now. I'll just keep reading for now. It's only 4 o'clock. Too fast, it's too fast. It's so cute. This book is so cute. They really like each other. I love love. I wanna rate it 5 stars just because of how much I love the TV show and how much this aligns with that. But I think at this point I'm better off maybe just not doing a rating. I don't know, because it's my first graphic novel, I don't really know what to rate something that feels like I'm watching a TV show, and just reading the subtitles is really what it feels like, which I do anyway. So I usually start cooking dinner around 5, so I will just stop when I get to that point. Yeah, we get a rain-soaked Nick. It's romantic. Okay, I finished the second one. It's like almost 5 o'clock, so I'll probably stop for now. I'm thinking I'll save the third one for when I need a pick-me-up, like I did after these couple of heavy books, because this was so cute again. And this one was completely different from the TV show, to be honest with you. Barely anything I feel like is the same. I mean, that's a lie, but you know what I mean. And also Isaac isn't Isaac, it's Alid? Alid? Never heard that name before, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But it's not Isaac, it's someone different, which is kind of fun. I looked it up and it says something about wanting to save this character because she has written another book in the same universe about Alid. So just in case it becomes something, let Isaac have his own moment to shine and this story will be completely different, I guess. So that's kind of fun. I think it's amazing how much an author can get across in such few words and just with illustrations. It's, like I said, kind of like a TV show where you don't know anything about their inner dialogue really, or what they're thinking, except for it's even less words than a TV show. So crazy how much can get across. Maybe it's because I've seen the show. Maybe I should try to read a graphic novel that doesn't have an adaptation just to see if I feel the same about it, or if it's specifically this because I've already watched it. I'm not sure. And also the story in the TV show obviously has a lot more to it to have this developed plot that can be a saga like that, whereas this is missing a lot of those characters, and the ones that are here, very far and few between. It really is just Nick and Charlie against the world, which I'm okay with. I think it's super cute. I think I'm gonna conclude the video here. I hope that whatever I'm feeling about books and reading lately goes away soon, because I need this to stop. I'm even wondering if that's why I can't rate any of the books I've been reading 5 stars, because I'm not reading them fast enough. I'm dragging it out and leaving too much time in between. I'm guessing that's probably part of it, so I hope that goes away soon. I really, really do. Either way, there will be a video next week. I filmed just a weekly vlog, so that will be coming out. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.